and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Hold it, you're not that pretty. I'm a bad man. Wait. I shook up the wall. I shook up the wall.
I bear witness, there's only one God, Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. That's what I said, Larry, on the bungle fight. Thanking you.
They call me the problem, but you could call me the can man, because anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.
How y'all doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Blow by Blow episode 8, in which we're going to talk about so many different topics that took place last week and so many more, including Wilder stopping Tyson Fury from fighting Anthony Joshua due to arbitration. That's what they don't tell you about. So we're going to talk about all of the above. And that was also according to Tyson Fury's own promoter, Frank Warren. That being stated, subscribe below, click on the notification bell to get notified every time I post or go live on Split Decision or any of my shows. I appreciate all my AKHis that's tuning in. Shout out to Jay Lease, OG, and everybody in the chat, Davis, and Mr. Mechanical. Make sure you guys call in. If there's a decaf in the chat, we already know what time it is. There's a lot of keyboard warriors around that have female parts that don't have no cojones, so they rather be in the comment section proving that they are a keyboard warrior, nothing more, nothing less, because they will never call in. So if you have cojones, call in, because anybody can get it.
But you could call me the can man, because anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.
I'm telling you, even my own AKHi could get it when it comes to any topic. So make sure you guys call in to hold your position. The number is in the description box below. Also, make sure you guys click on the notification bell, more importantly than subscribe, because that's the only way you can keep up with me posting. Because obviously I was supposed to go live yesterday. However, because the Shakur fight was so late, I think ESPN told us the fights were going to start around 8, 9 o'clock, and then the main event was going to be 10 o'clock. However, the main event didn't start till 2 p.m. my time. That being said, in order for you to keep up with all of my work or me going live, you have to click on the notification bell to get notified every time I post or go live. As you guys know, I mix, master, produce, engineer all of my work. So let's go ahead and get the party started.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
So, Ray McDonald, I'm gonna call you McDonald, because you gonna be nothing but fast food. We're gonna eat you up, spit you out. Call in if you have cojones. You get a VIP pass. Like I said before, all the decafs, they get a VIP pass straight into debating AKHi. But they will say anything in the comment section. However, they won't call in. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about, like I said, there's a lot of fights took place last week. We had Anthony Joshua knocking out Pulev, Flex Verdejo. He was on the verge of pulling off the upset. However, out of nowhere, Nakatani knocked him out. We also had Berlinga put on a statement. Another devastating KO. And obviously on Showtime, because ESPN and Showtime had a card, I had to watch Berlinga while flipping back to Lil B-Hop because obviously Lil B-Hop, that's my man, but I knew Berlinga was gonna knock him out in the first round. So I was like, you know, I'm be able to you know, watch the B-Hop fight still. So I was flipping back and forth between channels. But nevertheless, Lil B-Hop looked like the next best thing in the sport of boxing. And last but not least, matter of fact, the most important, Shakur Stevenson. He put on a GOAT performance. I've been telling you guys, this is the next GOAT. This is the next great. This is the next Floyd. This is the next Sugar Ray. You name it. He put on a hell of a performance, which we're going to talk about in a few. That being said, I truly believe the landscape in the sport of boxing will yes, sir. The number is in the description box. So if we already have a decaf calling in, you know, please let me know. You guys don't have to wait. You get a VIP pass. You know what I mean? So I'm not looking at the screen. So if we do have a decaf, please notify me. There's you also could throw a super chat at any time if you want to support or ask me any question. So Marquio G, go ahead, call in. But I'm not gonna waste any time. You know, like I said, that's what the decafs do. They like to waste my time trolling in the comment section, but they won't call in. So we're gonna dive in straight to the business at hand. Like I said, the landscape in the sport of boxing most likely will change in the upcoming year or two. Especially like at certain divisions, such as 130, you see Purchett as the champion, Herring, Javante, obviously. And, you know, I truly believe next year, most likely, you know, Herring and Frampton going to fight for a title. After that, Shakur is going to fight the winner, then fight Purchett. So that's two champions out of the way. Also, we have Lil B-Hop on the come up. I truly believe he have the goods to become not just a champion, but a pound-for-pound fighter as well, with the skills he displayed with power and speed. So, like I said, the landscape in the sport of boxing will change in the upcoming years, having fighters like Berlinga and so on and so forth, you know, coming on the scene. So, that being said, go ahead and dive into the first round. So Shakur Stevenson, he said that Lomachenko has no heart. He lacks heart because against Teofimo Lopez, a guy who was dissing him, he threw little to no punches for the first half of the fight. We're not talking about a round or two in which a fighter takes his time to study his opponent. No, that's not the case. Shakur pointed out that Lomachenko only threw one punch every single round for the first 6 rounds, which is ridiculous to say the least. They've been claiming that this guy is the Matrix, so on and so forth. However, like Shakur said, he truly believed that Lomachenko has no heart, because if you truly the Matrix, you're supposed to let your hands fly. Mr. Mechanical, AB, new name, Adrian, my own problem, Broner. And our key new nickname is AB, excuse me, our key, the decaf's problem. I'm the decaf's problem because they don't have no solutions. They don't got the answers. Kanye West told you guys that. So, like I said before, though, when it comes to my man Shakur, he pointed out that Lomachenko threw little to no punches for the first 6 rounds when he was fighting Teo. Now, mind you, Teofimo was talking all the trash in the world. He was, you know, he had no respect for Lomachenko leading up to the fight. He trashed Lomachenko. Matter of fact, he even went far and beyond. he disrespected Lomachenko. So when the fight first started, I was expecting Lomachenko to, put on a statement to let Teofimo, the unexperienced fighter who never defended his title before, who never been on that stage before, I was expecting Lomachenko to put respect on his name, right? Remember, Floyd Mayweather, at age 37 years old, when he fought Canelo Alvarez, a guy who was 20 pounds bigger than him, supposedly, or around 20 pounds, Floyd Mayweather, the first round, he started backing up Canelo, the bigger guy. And Floyd was 37 years old in his 5th weight division. Now, mind you, Floyd Mayweather goes on the scale. I think he weighed it at 151. The next day, he woke up at 146. Fighters, usually after they eat and they rehydrate, they usually gain at least 5 pounds, man. At least 10 pounds. If you're a small fighter for your division, you're going to gain at least 5 pounds. Floyd Mayweather, guess what happens? He lost 5 pounds. That's how small Floyd Mayweather was at age 37. And what did he do to Canelo Alvarez, who was a unified champion? He backed him up. That's a fighter with heart right there. Remember when Sugar Shane Mosley cracked Floyd Mayweather? Guess what he do? He backed Sugar Shane Mosley up that same round. It ain't like Floyd Mayweather waited to the next round to recover and then get his lick back. Now, Floyd Mayweather got his lick back that same round. That's what you call a fighter with heart. So, that being said, on the other hand, Lomachenko, he fought Teo, and all of a sudden he fought like he was scared. If I'm being honest, if I'm being truthful, he fought with a lot of nervous energy, and pretty much he was scared of Teofimo before Teofimo even hit him. Now, it's one thing if Teo caught him with something nice, and obviously Lomachenko took notice, like, oh man, I need to be careful from this young bull because he could hurt me. No, Teo didn't even really catch him with nothing solid. He was catching him to the body, but he never really caught him with nothing solid to the head, the way Lomachenko had his guard up, So, like I said, they were preaching on to us that this man is the next Matrix, so on and so forth, when it's really Shakur. Shakur is the Matrix, not Lomachenko. That being said, obviously, Teo defeated Lomachenko. So good luck to old media and ESPN erasing his losses or continuing to erase his losses, because most likely he gonna take some more if he want to hop in the ring with Shakur, because Shakur did let Lomachenko know, and he let the world know that it will be bad. It will be a bad idea to put Lomachenko in the ring with me the way he fought Teo. And I agree with him 1,000%. It definitely be a bad idea, because Shakur Stevenson, he is really the Matrix, not Lomachenko. Shakur is the Matrix, because we saw against, I think his name was Clary. I think that was his name. We saw against Clary, Shakur Stevenson, he showed Lomachenko what he was supposed to do. For a lot of people that's not too familiar with Clary is a good fighter. He got solid power. He got solid hand speed. So I was looking forward to see how Shakur Stevenson was going to face another southpaw with power and speed who could box and counterpunch, right? And Shakur Stevenson walked right through him. Like I told you guys, when it comes to Shakur, everybody is just another number. That's how it seems. If you want to be brave enough and try to stop the wave from getting to its destination, guess what? You're just going to be part of the wave. You're just going to be another number on Shakur Stevenson's resume. I mean, the way he just dominated every single opponent of his up to this point, the way he got all these fighters on the hope list shook, they scared to look every time they see Shakur approach them, from Oscar Valdez to Frampton to even Abner Mares, who voluntarily called him out, but he won't sign on the dotted lines. Talk is cheap at the end of the day. But the point is, Shakur Stevenson, the way he just walked right through Clary, who's supposedly another southpaw, and southpaws don't like to fight other southpaws, and made adjustments right on the fly. I mean, it's rare to see a fighter with great defense having great offense as well. Shakur Stevenson was throwing like 5 punches combination while avoiding counters. That's unheard of. This man has Ali talent. That's why your hands can't hit what your eyes can't see, period. And Shakur displayed that tonight or last night against Clary. And that's what Lomachenko should have did against Tio. If he was supposedly the Matrix, he was supposed to go forward and not allow Tio to hit him. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, like I told you guys before, Shakur Stevenson, his potential is through the roof. The $1 million question is, what is the ceiling for Shakur Stevenson as far as his talent? And I'm telling you right now, the ceiling is the sky. The sky is the limit for Shakur Stevenson. That's how good this kid is, in my humble opinion. So we will see if Lomachenko, you know, after what Shakur Stevenson said, will hop in the ring with him, because obviously, for the people that don't know, Shakur Stevenson been calling out Lomachenko a year or two ago, right? And that was one of the fights that he thought was going to be the legacy fight of his, which was going to make him a pound-for-pound king in the sport of boxing. However, like I told you guys, Lomachenko is so beatable that he got beat before Shakur got to him, you know, and I believe Devin could have did the same. You know, that's another fighter that will definitely be a top 1, top 2 pound-for-pound fighter in the future. So, like I said before, you know, when it comes to, you know, Shakur Stevenson, I think that's Lomachenko kryptonite. You talking about offense and defense. You talk about a man that he's only 23 years old, you know, and he in the ring, he's so experienced, he's so calm, you will think he's 30 years old. Shakur Stevenson is just on another level. That's the best way I could put it. Let me go ahead and pick up a call. My man said Shakur will make Lomachenko cry. Man, that sounds depressing, don't it? I know old media mad. They're gonna be hating on the young bull real heavy, real soon. You know, they already hating on him now. Look at James. Hey, James, tell your favorite fighters to hop in the ring with him. Tell your favorite fighters. How does a bum have more cojones than your favorite fighters? What does that say about your favorite fighters? If the Oscar Valdez of the world, if all these fighters from Josh Washington or whatever his name is, if they won't hop in the ring with Shakur and Clary will, then what does that say about your favorite fighters if Clary is a bum? So joke's on you. That's why you decaps won't call in, because you guys know y'all gonna get fried. So I understand. How you doing, AKHi? Who this is and where you calling from?
Yo, this is Joey from South Florida.
Joey, before we start cooking, I just want to get your take on this real quick before we start, before I get your take on anything. Berlinga, obviously, he fought last night. He said that, he said, I'm not Canelo, I'm not any of those guys. When he was asked about knocking out his opponent in the first round, yet again, I think this is his 16th time or 15th time knocking out an opponent in the first 16. Yeah, thank you for the informing me on that. So yeah, he have devastating power. He said that he cut from a different cloth. His goal next year though is to go rounds. That's his plan. So he said it will come with him stepping up in competition. Now I'm gonna tell you this right now. I don't know how. I mean, I don't know how many rounds he's gonna get in, because in order for him to get rounds for real, he's gonna have to make a huge step up in competition. You know, I truly believe if Berlinga fight Ivini next, he probably knock him out in the first round. You know, no disrespect to Ivini, but I just think Berlinga got such a devastating power. He probably one of the hardest hitters, you know, that I've seen. You know, only time will tell when he does really step up. But you know, I think it's gonna take somebody with really great defense to really take Berlinga a lot of rounds. Now, what was your take on his performance and just Berlinga potential in the sport of boxing, period, and his star potential as well?
I mean, I thought Berlinga's latest performance and recent performance in his last two fights, I thought they were spectacular. The kid really, just really has that that he just got that solid punch, that solid combination for where he could just once he catches you, like he just it's nights out. And the worst part about it is he ain't one of these fighters that needs to hit you cleanly and needs to hit you solid. It could be a glancing blow, and you'll see that fighter already dazed. And more importantly, this kid reminds me of Tyson in a way for where I don't know. I don't remember in this fight, but in his last fight, I saw the eyes of that guy he was fighting. And that guy looked scared before the bell even rang. So he has that. He already has that type of energy going into this. So
yeah.
So that already plays a role into what he can do. Because if he can scare the fighter before even getting in the ring with him, then the way I see, he's already won the fight.
Yeah, and then
you can't win a fight scared.
Right, and think about Berlinga. I don't really think he'd be looking for the knockout in the first round. I'd be thinking the way it looked like to me, he'd be trying to box, and as soon as he crack his opponent, he will get a reaction like, "Oh, they don't belong in the ring with me. Let me get them out of there. They can't take my power," or something like that. You know, because that's a good thing. That's the thing about Berlinga that could take him further in the sport is that he's a boxer. I don't know how good of a boxer he is, but he's supposedly a boxer. I'm not sure. I think even his last fight, you know, he countered that jab with a nice right hand. And when you got a guy like that has great boxing skills, once he step up in competition, all he got to do is just box. And as soon as he hurt his opponent, he could just tap into that killer instinct mode. So it's going to be very hard for someone to really give Berlinga any trouble for now, or at least, take him rounds. You know, I truly believe Berlinga next fight should be against, maybe an Ivini or at least a former champion. After that, against a prospect. After that, a contender, things of that sort. Somebody that could take him rounds so he could get the experience. And then once he get the experience, he can fight for a title. You have Canelo Alvarez at 168, which I'm pretty sure that will be eventually the big money fight he will be looking forward to. You have David Benavidez, Caleb Plant, Smith, but obviously Smith is fighting Canelo. So, there's so much going on for Berlinga. Like usually at 168, remember when Andre Ward came to the game at the Super 6, that saved the day for Andre Ward. But even Roy Jones, he had James Toney. So Berlinga is really lucky. He fighting at a time where 168 is on fire right now. I mean, Canelo is in the division. You could expect Charlo to move up to 168. You also have Andre. There's another fighter named David Morrell, a Cuban fighter on the come up. He's 2-0, and he an interim champion right now. So there's so much going on that Berlinga is so lucky to have all this competition for him at 168. So that type of competition is what really could make him a star in the sport of boxing. What's your take on that? Before I get your take, let me just read the super chat real quick. We got 2 super chats. Berlinga. My man said Berlinga fought 16 meatballs. He needs to fight a top 25 ranked fighter. Yeah, but remember, nobody really who have fought 16 meatballs like you put it and knocked them out in the first round. I mean, I'm telling you, man, Berlinga, he from New York, and some of them guys, that you fight in New York, they could fight. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you that right now. One thing for sure, his power is real because you not knocking out 16 opponents in the first round. I mean, who the last guy that did something like that? It had to been Deontay Wilder, you know, that knocked out his first 16 opponents in the first round. So if his power is real, that's going to take him a long way. I'm not saying, you know, that he probably like the next Shakur or nothing. I'm just saying that he got a lot of potential at 168, which is a very hot division. When he lands, Mr. Mechanical, when he lands, ops go to sleep. Yep, and that's what's gonna take. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he could be less skilled than you, but if he catch you with the right punch, it's gonna be lights out. So, what's your last take on that?
I mean, in terms of Edgar Berlanga, it's like you said, like his power, it has the ability to take him a long way, but it's kind of like Triple G. Before Triple G met in the ring with Canelo or even Daniel Jacobs, this man was knocking out everybody with anything he threw at them, whether it was to the body, to the head. This man had more devastating power than I ever seen at 160. But the moment he went up against the higher competition, that power, I mean, it still hurt people. He still put people on the canvas, but it didn't look as devastating as it used to be. And that's usually what happens when power meets skill. And if Edgar Berlanga starts meeting that higher competition, I guarantee you that power it can't be his get out of jail free card. Because at the end of the day, once he meets a fighter with defense, like someone like Caleb Plant, who can move, who's got good defense, who's quick, who can counterpunch, who can box in the pocket. Once he fights someone not necessarily on that level, but with those abilities and can take a punch, that's the worst part. If you find someone that can take his punch, if he goes up against someone like that, he could face some problems. So I think it's just too soon to call with Berlanga. It's like you said, and it's like he said, we need to see some rounds on him first. The 16 KOs in the first round is impressive, but I mean, I think if he can combine that with boxing skills, this will really determine whether he's a future star in the sport. Right now, I just think it's too soon to call. But yeah, I think the kid's got potential.
Right. Now I agree with you 1,000%. It's gonna take. Look, what really gonna tell me how good Berlinga is when he does step up is how good his defense is, because everybody got a game plan until they get hit back. And right now, like you said, a lot of people are so intimidated by him that they so defensively minded, right? And as soon as they hop in the ring, you could tell they mentally defeated. As they try to back away from him, you don't back away from a power puncher, because the power puncher gonna eat you up. What you do is, if you even hurt, you got to smother your opponent. You actually got to go to him. You know, Floyd Mayweather displayed that perfectly against Sugar Shane Mosley. What you got to do, you got to try to smother your opponent and push off of him, not back away from him, because oh man, you're gonna be at the end of his punches, which is what exactly you need to avoid against a power puncher, right? Like I said, we won't really know till he fights somebody with skill. And as far as his potential, we really won't know how good he is until he show me how good he is as far as on the defensive level and as far as his skill. But nevertheless, he does have power. So that is going to take him a long way, you know, because he does have devastating power. I got another super chat. Power alone won't get, my bad, 815 C Money 815. Power alone won't get it done against Charlo or Benavidez. Canelo isn't getting knocked out. Has a great chin. Have Berlinga fought Jacobs. Man, Berlinga haven't stepped up even close to no Jacob. But yeah, like I said, I ain't saying nothing about him knocking out Canelo at all. But yeah, them fights, the Charlo, the Canelos, those the fights that's gonna make him. You know what I mean? If he is the truth. You know, win or lose, though, he's definitely a star in the making. He's catching a lot of buzz, so we'll see though. But is that, you want to add on to that, or you think that's you got?
I mean, yeah, not in terms of Edgar Berlanga. There's not really much to say. It's like you said. It's just they're like all we've been displayed is this man's power and this man's finishing ability, and that's promising. But it's like it's like we said, like what makes fighters who got power, it can, like when we see fighters who got power and can box, like Gervonta Tank Davis, this is when we start talking about stars in the sport. Someone who could finish somebody, someone who's got that killer instinct, but at the same time, if you press on him and if you press the gas, he knows that he still can finish you. He still puts you down. Like Tank Davis, even though he did knock out Leo Santa Cruz beforehand, that was a good fight. Leo Santa Cruz was stepping up the gas pedal against him, and Tank Davis realized, all right, this isn't someone who I could just push around so easily. He was able to be smart about it, and once he saw Leo Santa Cruz's downfall being that he gets stuck in the mud and doesn't like to move when he's punching, he just got him with that beautiful uppercut and just took him out. I mean, it's like you said, you gotta combine power with boxing ability. Power alone, it'll take you far, but once you meet a boxer who can take your punches and who can see them coming, that power gets exposed real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you watched his highlights. It's a video. It's like 15 minutes long on YouTube, and they showed his highlights. I think it was like his second fight. You know, he did get rocked with the right hand, like he stumbled back a little bit against, I think it was his second or third opponent, you know. So that's why I said defense is going to play a big role, him moving forward, because there's a lot of people that could punch at 168, you know. Canelo, Charlo, no, Charlo ain't even there yet, but Benavidez, even a fast puncher as well. And Benavidez is one of the fighters that voluntarily said he's willing to fight him, you know. And I was surprised. I was like, you know, I wasn't too familiar with Berlinga, but when David Benavidez mentioned him, I was like, okay, you know, you obviously got to respect him for doing so. But the point is, you know, he's gonna have to be mindful of his defense. That's what takes you a long way. You know, usually the most dominant fighters in the game, the fighters with the best defense. That's why Shakur got the most potential, because you saw a display of crazy offense with crazy defense last night. But that being said, you know, you know, do you have any topic in mind?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you. I wanted to know what's your take on what's going on with the 140 division and the infamous Bob Arum with what he's doing, saying that he's willing to pay Sean Porter $1 million in order to fight Terrence Bud Crawford. Sean Showtime Porter, who just recently went into a pay-per-view bout with Errol Spence that did great numbers and made well over $2 million, wants to pay him $1 million to go up against Terrence Bud Crawford and expect Sean Porter to take that. What do you think about that?
Right. Sean Porter, I don't know exactly what he got paid his last fight, but I'm pretty sure he got paid more than $1 million against Formula. I think that's his name. You know, when he fought the prospect. You know, so you know, obviously Bob Arum, that's just promoter talk. Because at the end of the day, remember, Terrence Crawford, he's the champion. Sean Porter is the mandatory. So when a mandatory gets activated, what usually happen is they start negotiating, so on and so forth. And once negotiations start, if they can't come to an agreement, if both teams can't come to an agreement as far as the money split or the purses, so on and so forth, it goes to purse bed right away. That's what happens. They got like 60 days, I believe. So once it goes to purse bed, what happens is the mandatory get 25% of the budget for the fighters, and the champion gets 75% of the budget, right? Now, if ESPN, if Bob Arum is willing to offer the fighters, both fighters, $5 million for the fight, right? So if he's saying, look, we in a pandemic, I don't really got that much money right now. ESPN is only willing to give us $5 million. What could happen? Al Heyman, because Sean Porter, I believe that's his manager. You know, Al Heyman could easily be like, okay, well, PBC, we would like to take the fight because it's purse bid. You know, both networks could offer money. Whoever offers the most money could actually take the fight. So PBC could be like, all right, well, I feel like that's a low blow. You know, the $5 million both fighters worth more. This fight worth more. So we willing to offer 10 million. So if Bob Arum is not willing to top that, then what happens? PBC takes the card, take the fight, period, and then the fight takes place, on PBC. So if PBC, for example, is willing to give 10 million for the fighters, then 75% of 10 million is going to go to Crawford, 25% goes to Sean. So I know it sounds crazy what Bob said as far as the 1 million. You know what I mean? I don't agree with him. But at the end of the day, when it does go to purse bid and both networks start negotiating, that's not going to be the case. Sean is going to get paid way more than that. And it's just going to be up to both networks who's willing to pay more money. So if ESPN want to play games, PBC could easily take the fight and have it on pay-per-view, which most likely will do around 300K. So that 10 million, they will gain it right back, because if you sell 300K on pay-per-view or close to that, that's around what, 25 million, revenue coming in. You could easily pay off the 10 million with no time. So that's even more money for the fighters if they do better on pay-per-view than expected. They could end up getting more money, So I don't take what Bob said verbatim, for the people that want to say, oh, see, he ducking. That's what Bob said. I just want to remind people, for the people that want to say, oh, well, Sean, see what Bob want to give Sean only 1 million. At the end of the day, you guys got to remember, that's not what Terrence said. Terrence is the fighter. We got to judge him off being a fighter, not being a businessman. Bob is the promoter. So at the end of the day, is it true? Is Sean worth only 1 million? Absolutely not, because Sean is worth more. So Bob is just blowing smoke. He's talking like he usually do. We already know how Bob is. I mean, he said Wilder, contract ran out. So we're talking about that guy. So at the end of the day, when it comes to Bob, you can't take everything he says, verbatim. You can't take everything he says on face value, because at the end of the day, there's a lot that goes into it. And I think he also brought up, I think in that interview, he also brought up the fact that, hey, listen, if PBC want to pick up the card, they can. If it goes to purse bid, they could pick up the fight if they want to offer more money. So he's also well aware of that as well. What's your take on all of the above?
I mean, just based off of what you said, this is just another ploy for Bob trying to avoid paying fighters what they do. Like Terrence Crawford, his top dude, he's underpaying him. We all know this, considering the fact that Terrence Crawford, he's like, I don't know. Like when it comes to Terrence Crawford, I don't get what there is to hate, because this man is literally everything we want in a fighter. This man has all the skills in the world, has all the heart in the world. This man is willing to fight anybody they put in front of him. And this man also wants to get paid for what he wants, but he delivers, so he believes that's why he should get paid. Like, he's literally everything we want a fighter to be. He's not afraid. He's a top skill fighter, and he's willing to come at anyone who they put him in front of. Like, this is what we want. So when you have a fighter like that, you treat him right. You pay him right. And Bob is clearly, he's showing his ass to Terrence Crawford by saying all these things, and then he's putting Terrence Crawford in a bad position where people want to make the assumption that Terrence Crawford is trying to duck Sean Porter, when we know that's not the case. Even though, considering Terrence Crawford has never ran from a fight, he's fought all of his mandatories, everybody they put in front of him. So, I mean, you can't take that away from Terrence Crawford. This is a Bob Arum. This sounds like Bob Arum. This don't sound like Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, of course.
Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, this is you put it perfectly. Yeah, now continue. My bad.
No, you good. Like, it's just like when you hear Bob Arum talk, he's always like the numbers that he's coming up with these fighters. It's ridiculous. Like, the only time where I think Bob Arum ever I actually agreed with him was when they were talking about Keith Thurman, and people said that Keith Thurman wanted 10 million. Now, I don't know if that's entirely true, but if that is true, and Bob Arum said he outpriced himself, that's a fact. But Sean Porter, this is a man who made well over 2 million fighting Errol Spence. And if you do this, and if they can't come to an agreement which Errol Spence gets paid. I mean, my bad. Sean Porter gets paid more than that. Then what's stopping Sean Porter from taking a rematch with Errol Spence, which he's guaranteed to make more money and do good pay-per-view buys? At the end of the day, boxing is a business first is sports second. So if Sean Porter decides to take his business elsewhere, that's no fault to him. That's all fault to Bob Arum.
Right. I agree with you 1,000%. You brought up a lot of great points. And one thing we always got to keep in mind, regardless if Crawford don't have to give Porter an opportunity. Porter is the mandatory. He already put himself in position to fight. So all he got to do is activate his mandatory position and he will get the fight. So as far as I know, if Sean won it, he could really get it, But as far as Bob, at the end of the day, I don't understand why fighters at the top level still getting, mistreated, because in the sport of boxing, it's an Ali Act. An Ali Act will protect the fighter from getting hustled, because the Ali Act will force the promoter, the network, so on and so forth, to show the fighter the statistic and the revenue that's coming in and what he's supposed to be getting. So Crawford should be preview to these things, So I don't understand. But at the end of the day, when it comes to Sean, on the other hand, that's not his fighter, so he could care less if he's gonna lowball him or not. You know what I'm saying? So if he could lowball him, you best believe he's gonna try to do his best. But that's why I explained earlier. Al Heyman is not gonna allow that to happen. You talking about the best manager in the game? I remember when Al Heyman was managing a fighter. I'm not sure who it is 1,000%, but he was supposed to fight Kovalev. Oh yeah. The southpaw. What was his name? Stevenson. I think it was Stevenson. And there was I was under the impression. I mean, I'm not gonna front. I thought Stevenson, his energy was off when it came to Kovalev at the time. Like he seemed like he didn't want to fight, because when they were asking him questions, he would always talk about B-Hob and somebody else, Frotch, anybody else that's not named Kovalev, right? But when they started negotiating, that's when Al Heyman, came into the table. He was like, okay, well, we can make the fight happen, so on and so forth, but we there's more money on the table. So he told HBO, I think Kovalev was fighting for HBO at the time, and that's why Al Heyman ended up leaving HBO, because Al Heyman told HBO, listen, the statistics look wrong. This fight is bigger than this, and he proved it. And then he obviously figured out that they were trying to lowball him. So my point is, Al Heyman is not going to allow that to happen, But at the end of the day, they're in a great position, because since Al Heyman is with PBC, they could buy the fight and they could have the fight on PBC, Fox PBC, as far as I know, and Bob Arum, gets to take the promoter cut. Therefore, ESPN is going to have to put the money on the table that both fighters deserve, So in the UFC, for example, there's no Ali Act in the sport of boxing. I don't know how it came to fruition, but there's an Ali Act that protects all the fighters. So that's the good thing that came about it. The Ali Act protected Mikey Garcia. That's how Mikey won the lawsuit against Bob, and many more fighters in the past. So that being said, what's your take on that, on the Ali Act, or what is your last couple comments before I let you go, because I got people on the line?
Yeah, no, I understand. No, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, pay the fighter what he deserves. If the man's putting up the performances, if he's being consistent, if he's doing everything that he's supposed to do, then pay the man what they statistically say he deserves. I mean, Terrence Crawford is a man who hasn't lost, who keeps knocking fighters up they put in front of him, and who keeps calling out the big names. He's bringing popularity to fights. He's keeping the fight of the decade, because even though he's the older fighter, he looks just as fantastic as he did when he first came into the welterweight division. So if you got a fighter who's being consistent, who's winning, who's not losing like Lomachenko, who's not cheating like Tyson Fury, who's doing you right, who's treating you right, and who's fighting in and out of the ring to make sure that this fight happens, then you absolutely should pay him. Right. I mean, I don't understand why Terrence Crawford gets treated like this by Bob Arum, because at the end of the day, if Terrence Crawford was a disloyal dude, he would have left PBC like he should have all those years back. And I wouldn't even consider him disloyal. I just consider him a smart man who realizes a snake behind him when he sees it, and that's Bob Arum. But instead, he decided to be more loyal than he should have, and he paid the price for it. And now he's in a position now for where if he doesn't leave PBC, fight of the decade may never happen, or may happen when he's so far out of his prime that it may not be the same fight that it is right now. So I personally think that Bob Arum should pay him, but at the same time, regarding the Ali Act and Sean Porter, I think PBC should just buy it out anyway, because I think Terrence Crawford showing his face on Showtime Sports and everybody seeing him, that brings more excitement to him, makes him a big name in front of all of Showtime. People know who he is. People want to see him fight Errol Spence and stuff like that. So I think more will come if Al Heyman and PBC just buy it rather than Bob Arum try to lowball Sean Porter. That's my take.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. And obviously, luckily for Terrence Crawford, he happened to be on the coincidental list. That ain't a coincidence, because Lomachenko and Tyson Fury, they get the benefit of the doubt because they got the complexion for the connection to get the ultimate protection, to get special benefits such as erasing losses, cover up cheating tactics, cover up failed tests, so on and so forth. So, Crawford just happened to be on the wrong hands. So, if, like you said, the wise thing to do is go to PBC. So, I truly believe he's just waiting till his contract is up, so he won't get screwed over, because he don't want any politics to come into play, or maybe go to court and sit out for 2 years, which could definitely hurt him, in the Errol Spence fight or just his legacy period. So I think he just, he's like, what, let me just finish my contract, and after that, I'll possibly head to PBC. I think that's what he got in plan. But I appreciate talking with you, Joey, like always, my brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good speaking to you, Aki. You take care, man.
Yes, sir. So, just a little. I just gotta take care of something real quick. I'll be right back. Give me like 1 minute. I'll be right back in 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Oh shit. Well, let me repeat that because the audio was muted. I had a couple technical difficulties in which the chat disappeared. So if I did miss any super chat, I truly apologize. I will go and check the super chats after the live and read the super chats next time I go live. So I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. And let's go ahead and get back to the business at hand. Obviously, Anthony Joshua fought last night, or it was afternoon for me over here, and he fought Pulev, in which he put on a hell of a statement. Now, because Anthony Joshua is not going to be able to fight Tyson Fury next, he said that if I can't get the belts, if I can't fight for undisputed, then I want to fight Usyk. That's a name that he's looking to fight. So that being said, I think that smells trouble for Usyk because we've seen the best version of AJ. A version that's defensively responsible, a version that still has the killer instinct. However, he's also more cautious. That Ruiz loss made him a better fighter because it made him more dedicated to the sport. His stamina even seemed to be better. His defense is definitely better. He's circling the right way. He's fighting smart. He utilizing his jab. And then once he catches his opponent with the right punch, he goes for the killer instinct. So that killer instinct is still there for AJ, which smell trouble for a guy like, Usyk, because usually with Usyk, he's a guy that does what Lomachenko do at the heavyweight division. So it's less effective because in the heavyweight division, you will burn yourself out trying to take all them angles and just move around without a purpose, just to confuse or frustrate your opponent. Like, I feel like sometimes Usyk moves without a purpose, or he burns unnecessary energy, which a guy like Anthony Joshua could definitely capitalize on that. And hopefully Usyk won't turn to a Lomachenko the way Lomachenko fought Tio. I hope Usyk doesn't do the same against Anthony Joshua, because if he does, he might not make it. Unlike Tio, this is the heavyweight division. If AJ catches Usyk with the right punch, he's going to go for the kill, because I'm pretty sure AJ feels that Usyk can't really hurt him. I know Anthony Joshua been dropped in the past. Matter of fact, he got stopped in the past against Ruiz, but Usyk is not that hard of a puncher. He's not even as fast as Ruiz, and he definitely doesn't hit as hard as Ruiz. Ruiz arguably got the best chin in the game, so in the heavyweight division at least. That being said, if Anthony was still able to drop Ruiz, you best believe he's gonna definitely be able to hurt Usyk and possibly put him out if he hurt him bad and goes for the kill. So I'm looking forward to see the fight, because I could go ahead and tell you right now, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury is not gonna happen. I know Bob Arum came out. Well, let me go ahead and pick up a call before I dive into the real business at hand. Oh shit. Somebody said AJ has a glass chin. Well, he started to realize that the best chin in boxing is the one that don't get hit. So he's defensively responsible, which made him a better fighter. And that's the thing about boxing. It's all about improving. And a lot of fighters can't come back the same from a loss. However, AJ was able to do so. So that's credit to him. How you doing, Aki? Who this is and where are you calling from? What's going on? Hey, my man, your voice is kind of like really far and I can't hear you clearly. Can you repeat that one more time? And if you're speaking from a speaker, try to speak from the phone directly. Hello?
Yeah, sorry about that, brother. You get up off this thing.
Oh, yeah, you good. Now it sounds good. So go ahead, talk to me.
Yeah, my bad. I had an earpiece in. Nah, what's up with it, though? AKHi, longtime fan of the show, man. It's my second time calling in. I ain't really talked to you since about episode 46, 47, man, but it's good to hear from you again.
Oh, man, that's been a long time, man. You know you got to call in more often than
Yeah.
that. So you got
Nah, it's been a few times, man, but
yeah.
Nah, it's all good, man. Just, you know, some people beat me to it, but man, I always listen, man. I'm always tuned in.
I appreciate it. Now I got a Bob Arum topic, you know, him talking about Wilder. You want to dive into that, or you got a topic in mind?
You can go ahead and dive in. I just had two quick ones that I wanted to go through whenever you're done, though.
All right. Well, let me get your take on this as well, because this is crazy what Bob said, right? Because now, after Anthony Joshua knocked out Pulev, he came out tweeting that, well, guess what? You know, the stage is on for the biggest fight, blah, 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 this and that, you know. And he said that Wilder contract is up. It's been up since October. And he keep insisting that Deontay Wilder doesn't have a case. But ironically, they in mediation, right? Now, he said that the rematch expired in October. But if the rematch did expire in October, right? Let's say that's a fact. It expired in October. Bob Arum got no reason to lie, right? So if that's the case, why did Bob Arum in June, he came out and said that the fight is postponed till October or December. He also said that the fight could possibly even postpone further than that till February 2021. This is what Bob said. Because mind you, Deontay Wilder activated the rematch clause a week after the rematch when he lost to Tyson Fury. So they've been trying to schedule a date since then till this day. Till Bob Arum and Tyson Fury find a way out, right? And then Bob kept postponing the date, like I said, till December, till further than that, even February 21. So my question to you is, if the contract expires in October, why are you going to push the fight back further than that till December and February 2021? And that's according to Bob. What sense does that make? Can you make sense out of that?
Nah, I can't make no sense out of that, man. For whatever reason, man, they really do not want us to get that trilogy match for some reason, and I can't understand it my damn self. But it's like you said earlier, anything that Bob Arum said, you kind of got to take with a grain of salt, because Bob Arum himself told us that Errol Spence pay-per-view numbers didn't do that well, which we know isn't the case, especially considering it's a pandemic right now.
Right. Right.
Facts. You let him tell it. He's saying Errol Spence didn't really sell nothing, and I tell you right now, I bought it, so I know that's a big cap.
Yes, sir. I bought it too. You know, so I agree with you. I agree with you that 1,000%. But yeah, I'm just trying to point out. I'm pointing out to the people that's listening how Bob is saying things that don't make no sense. Literally, like, you know, the contract, the rematch clause expires on October, but you're gonna agree to a later date. That don't make no sense. But then when the later date doesn't happen because Fox and ESPN couldn't come to a mutual agreement, they actually said, how about this? We're going to postpone it a month later. That's all. That's all they wanted. Out of nowhere, Tyson Fury, okay, well, I guess I'm free now. I'm no longer obligated to. You can see what games they play. And Tyson Fury, that's been his game plan from the jump. He's been trying to escape this trilogy. From the start, Tyson Fury been trying to escape this trilogy, because remember, when Wilder was trying to fight him in June, Tyson Fury came out and said, I'm not going to fight Deontay Wilder without a crowd. Now, what sense does that make? Why are you worried about the crowd? But he said, I will never fight Wilder again unless there's a crowd, because I got to get motivated with the crowd. He means that need to be distractions. In the bubble, it's harder to cheat. That's what he meant, right? Bob co-signed him. He said, listen, we need the gate, right? He said, he insisted that we need the gate. We can't lose out on $17 million for the gate, or whatever number he threw out, right? that's why they postponed the fight to October, then December, and then out of nowhere they want to say the rematch clause expired when they had a mutual agreement to postpone the fight. But again, that's why Wilder won the first steps of mediation, because he stopped Tyson Fury from cherry picking whatever his name, Kabali, or whatever the fighter he's trying to fight in the UK, right? So it just shows, this proves that Tyson Fury, he cheated. That's just the further proof that he cheated, and he's trying to escape justice, because he knows Wilder right hand is the justice that's going to be delivered on him. Remember, Tyson Fury, this man, we talking about a man that he done lied so many times. He done told so many lies. He done contradicted himself a million times. And he keep telling the world that Deontay Wilder doesn't, he does not owe Deontay Wilder a fight, because it was Deontay Wilder that postponed the fight because of an injury, when Bob Arum himself said that's not true. The fight got postponed because Fox and ESPN come to a mutual agreement. Mr. Mechanical, I appreciate the super chat. Bob, all I do is lie. Arum, 70 years old, cap. I don't know if he's 78. He might be 98. That's the only, correction.
Bob Arum, 89.
He 89?
Yeah, he about 89 years old, if I believe so.
Right. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, we're talking about a man that can't keep up with his lies. See, when you tell the truth, you don't got to remember the truth. It's going to come natural. It's not hard to remember the truth. That's why I got all my facts in my pocket. But when you lie, it's hard to remember the lies that you told. It's hard to keep up with a lie. So you're going to have to tell another lie to cover up your previous lie. And that's what happened to Fury. And when it comes to Bob, he's getting too old to remember the lies. So that's why he ended up contradicting himself. But they are in mediation right now. Bob Arum came out and said that the judge, everybody know the judge. I personally don't know the judge. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know the judge. What it sounded like to me, Bob said, Bob pretty much said when he told the world that he pretty much said, I know the judge. So that's probably, he probably could pay him off the table, and stuff like that. You never know. There's so much corruption that's going on. But the good thing about it, this is only mediation. They brought a retired judge to make the decision for a mutual agreement for both parties. So even if this won't do, they could go ahead and go to arbitration. So at the end of the day, which I'm gonna dive into that in a little bit. So what was the question you wanted to ask me?
Well, before I ask you that, I think both Fury and Arum know that right hand is coming with a vengeance. They're trying to avoid a trilogy, but I feel we're going to get it sometime in 2021. And even the WBC president has said that Wilder is deserving of a rematch. So saying that he's not deserving, that's also cap.
Yeah, and Bob want to say, and Tyson and Bob want to claim that, listen, Wilder, he came out and threw out all these accusations that were false, this and that. He will never earn he will never get a trilogy because of that. Remember, Fury, he tried to escape the trilogy before that. He came out and said Wilder rematch expired, or rematch clause expired before Wilder exposed them for cheating. So we know that's not the case. And then also Tyson Fury came out himself right after the rematch, and he said that Deontay Wilder is still his most dangerous opponent because he has that one-hitter quitter. One thing for sure, you could try to be defensively responsible and all of the above, but if you box, you're going to get hit, just like if you swim, you're going to get wet. And all it takes is one. And there's no fighter that could be perfect for the whole fight. And all it takes is 1 second for you to make a mistake, and Wilder could put your lights out. That's why Tyson Fury said Wilder's still his most dangerous fight till date. You know what I mean? More dangerous than Anthony Joshua. So that's why he resorted to cheating. That's why he cheated, because he knows that without cheating, Deontay Wilder has a cheat code, which is his right hand. You can't prepare for that. You can't prepare for getting hit by that right hand. Your body's going to do all type of funny things. You know what I mean? And he
Yeah,
even
most
said,
definitely, man.
he said after the fight, remember in the first fight, this man said, man, this man pretty much, he almost killed me in the ring. He said he put me in a coma. His family was scared for him. They were scared for his life. His dad, his pops came out and said, and he admitted to the public that he was scared for Tyson Fury and he won't let Tyson Fury fight Deontay Wilder again, and so on and so forth. But leading up to the rematch, he said he was betting everybody that Tyson Fury was gonna knock him out. We already know what time it is. The fix was definitely in.
Yeah, the same way everybody saw that second fight, we all saw the first fight. We saw Tyson Fury go to sleep.
Right.
We know what is expected in this trilogy and what is really possible, unless Tyson Fury can replicate that win again without the funny looking glove. Because we all know that glove looks funny.
Yeah, no, one thing for sure, now, since his method of cheating got exposed, he got to be even more creative and find another method, because the previous two won't work this time around. The only thing Wilder has to really be worried about right now is testing him by USADA, Olympic style drug testing, because I don't even really trust the VADA drug testing. Remember, the WBC increased the combuterol limit a fighter can have in his system, and Tyson Fury blamed him failing the drug test in the past on a wild boar. So how we know this man he's still not eating wild boars, because he could still eat wild boars that's contaminated and that's extinguished. We can't leave that part out. That's extinguished and still be able to fight legally by passing the test, since Suleiman increased the combuterol limit a fighter can have in his system. So Wilder really has to implement the Olympic style drug testing to make sure he's on an even playing field with Tyson Fury.
Yeah, and oddly enough, we have these conversations, and we're having this conversation about a guy that, has failed drug tests in the past, as well as had his gloves changed during fights. Like, it's not a first time thing for him. He's had to change gloves before.
Yeah, what was the guy name? Remember the guy he paid $5,000? He paid the commission $5,000 to change the gloves. Remember that? What was the guy name he was fighting? Because he struggled with him the first time. He hardly beat him.
The one I'm thinking of, I want to say, is Hammer.
Okay, I think Hammer's the
one. I'm not sure we're talking about this.
Yeah, I think Hammer's the one. Oh, so he changed gloves against Hammer too?
I think so, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, man,
I know the thumb was manipulated on one of his pairs, and they had to make him change because the thumb looked manipulated.
Okay, that's definitely Hammer. That's also the fighter he failed a drug test for and took steroids for. Yeah, that's definitely the fight.
See, so, I mean, we having a conversation about this fighter, man, but I guess it just kind of speaks to the corruption that we see in boxing a little bit. But, I mean, it is what it is, and hopefully we get this trilogy sooner than later.
Right. Yeah, and then speaking about corruption, I mean, I knew boxing was corrupted, but I didn't know it was corrupted to this extent, because at first I really thought about it like, it's just double standards, but this is more than double standards. I mean, they put Wilder life on the line, and they could care less, so it just shows, what's going on in the sport of boxing. But there's another fighter, I'm gonna pull up his name in a little bit. Tyson Fury paid the commission $5,000 to swipe the gloves, right? And because in the first fight, even Tyson Fury dad admitted that he told this fighter, "You beat my son." And then in the rematch, Tyson Fury paid the commission to switch the gloves, and ironically enough, he knocked this person out that he struggled with the first time, in which Tyson Fury's own father felt like Tyson Fury lost the fight. But in the rematch, he knocked him out. So using gloves that he paid the commission in order to swap, to change the gloves. So we could see the corruption that's taking place. I'm gonna get his name in a little bit. So that's the type of fighter that the commission, that the WBC, that old media is defending. A known cheater that cheated on more than one occasion.
Yeah, I know you got a few more callers waiting, man, but maybe maybe trying to address corruption in boxing could be a topic for a later date, man. I don't know, but as fans, it sucks that we got to put up with a certain level of that, but at the same time, you know, when we get good fights like yesterday, man, yesterday was a good night.
Oh yes, sir. That's for sure. Yeah, man. Okay, the guy
Yeah,
is
so I
John.
mean, you know,
The guy is John McDermott. He a fighter that gave Tyson Fury hell, and like I said, that's the fighter that Tyson Fury had to. He paid the commission $5,000 to swipe up the glove. So, like I said, yeah, I'll definitely make a video on or a live on that, the corruption in boxing. I appreciate the call, my brother, and definitely go.
all good, man. Two things before I go, bro. Man, what did you think of that Nakatani knockout? And also, man, why did the top ranked announcing crew keep calling Lopez undisputed?
Yeah, man, false advertisement. I mean, they erased Lomachenko lost, you know, and they
They
never
said that about two or three. They said it about 2 or 3 different times, and then it was funny because before Shakur walked out, they showed, you know, everybody that he was talking about. They showed Devin Haney with the WBC strap.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
So it's contradictory. Like I didn't understand.
yeah, it's false advertisement. The way they did with Lomachenko, erasing his loss. You know, they obviously have an agenda and they're willing to lie and falsely promote just to, you know, push for the agenda. Because see, a lot of casual fans don't know any better. So when they hear undisputed, they might believe it. But the word itself, undisputed, there's no discussion. Bro. Yeah, there's no discussion. Undisputed. There's no discussion that you got all the belts, but you don't. You know, box record, you know, the history books say you don't. And they still want to push on this false narrative, which is a disgrace to say the least, especially by Tessitore, because he's the one that continues to do so. But as far as Flex Verdejo, I mean, he came out blazing, but that's what I pretty much expected him to do. I was worried for him for the later stages because when I saw him lose the first time, that's what happened too. You know, he come out blazing, but it seemed to be, I don't know if it's his stamina. You know, as soon as his stamina slowed down, he was more vulnerable now. I think he was doing a lot of unnecessary movement. You know, one way he could have slowed down his opponent is by smothering him instead of backing away from him all the time. And he was throwing a lot of haymakers when he should have just been letting his hands go. You know, so when I saw that, I knew automatically if Flex Verdejo doesn't stop him, you know, with these punches, the haymakers he was throwing, eventually he's going to get gassed out and his opponent was going to be able to catch up with him. Nakatani, right? So that's what ended up happening. And it made for a hell of a fight. You know, I got a feel for Flex Verdejo. He had a lot of potential, but you know, that's the beauty about the sport. You got to expect the unexpected. And Nakatani, it seemed like I won't say he wanted it more. I just think he's just a better fighter. His attributes pulled off the win.
Yeah, he tough too, man. If I'm not mistaken, I think he went to the hospital with a broken orbital bone.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think he suffered he suffered that against Tio, I think. And then it was the same eye that started swollen up, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, dang, man. Yeah, he tough as nails, man. For real. He would not stop coming. And I think the last time we saw him was against Teofimo Lopez. And, man, he took him decisions. I think Nakatani's a problem at 135. He reminds me of that cat we just saw fight on the Errol Spence card. That cat that was 6'6" and made 154.
Right.
They're both problems.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I like him too. You know, we'll see how he develops too as he step up in competition. But he definitely a problem because he's so tall. He could fight. If he could box the way he could fight in the inside, you know, usually for a tall fighter like that, they're not comfortable to fight in the inside the way he does. But he like a Paul Williams. He's able to fight in the inside. But if he could box too, you know, that's gonna smell trouble for a lot of fighters. You know, because a lot of people think that his weakness is his inside game, but his inside game is actually his strength, if you know, believe it or not. So, you know, he definitely a problem as well. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the other callers. I appreciate your call, my brother.
All right, bro.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night, Aki.
All right, you too, my man. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up a call in a little bit, but I will go ahead and talk about this real quick. Deontay Wilder blocks Tyson Fury from surpassing him in order to fight Anthony Joshua by obviously applying mediation. The first step was obviously mediation. that prevented Tyson Fury from cherry picking Kabali, in the UK. So if we always got to play worst case scenario. Obviously, if Wilder wins the mediation, they come to a mutual agreement that they're going to fight next. If they don't come to a mutual agreement, which that's most likely the case, I don't think they could come to a mutual agreement, knowing that Tyson Fury is trying his best to escape the trilogy, like we talked about before. Now, if that's the case and Tyson Fury wins the mediation and doesn't have to honor the rematch clause according to the judge, that possibly know Bob Arum personally, the way Bob Arum been talking to the media, then Deontay Wilder have 2 months to activate the arbitration. They will obviously go into arbitration. Now, this is a more serious matter. This is actually like real court, not a retired judge that's trying to have both fighters come to a mutual agreement. Nah, this is not the case. Arbitration is the next step, which this is what's actually going to block Tyson Fury from fighting Anthony Joshua. This is what they won't tell you. They keep talking about Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, but even Anthony Joshua wasn't so optimistic about fighting Tyson Fury next. He wasn't so positive about it. When they asked when they asked Anthony Joshua, we want to see Undisputed. Is the road to Undisputed next versus you and Tyson Fury? He said, is the road to whoever next, not the road to Undisputed, because he obviously know that Deontay Wilder is in mediation right now with Tyson Fury, and they will be heading to arbitration next. Obviously, Wilder's going to go to arbitration. He got 2 months to activate it. So if that's the case, there's another 2 to 3 months of a case that's taking place. Therefore, what is Anthony Joshua going to do? He's obviously going to fight somebody else, maybe an Usyk, and that's why Anthony Joshua made it clear that it ain't Tyson Fury next. I mean, he said it ain't Undisputed next. He said is whoever is next. Also, Anthony Joshua, something else he said that I found it was intriguing. He stated that. Hold on, I think it's right here. He said, I'm not chasing Tyson Fury. He said, I'm not chasing Tyson Fury. I'm chasing the belts. So if Tyson Fury has the belt, he's going to be next. So whoever has the belt, he's going to be next. That's very important because I know a lot of people have been suggesting if Tyson Fury trying to escape Deontay Wilder so bad, and he has to honor this rematch clause, and if Wilder wins the mediation or arbitration, can't Tyson Fury just relinquish the WBC? That way, he could be far from the WBC reach or the rematch clause reach, and he doesn't have to honor the rematch clause to begin with if he give up the WBC belt. However, AJ just made it clear he's over here to collect belts, not. So if Tyson Fury is the champion, he's going to fight Tyson Fury. If somebody else is the champion, he's going to fight whoever is the champion. If Deontay Wilder is the champion, then Anthony Joshua is going to have to keep his word and fight Deontay Wilder, not Tyson Fury. So it's very important for Tyson Fury to have this belt. I know a lot of people also brought up the French fries belt, the witness protection belt, but we already know that will still be a bad look for Tyson Fury, even if he does that. And then that's when Tyson Fury will get sued for cheating if he goes that far to avoid the trilogy. Even if Wilder wins the trilogy match, I mean the rematch clause, the arbitration. If Wilder wins the arbitration and Tyson Fury is still trying to escape by relinquishing his belt, you best believe Deontay Wilder will sue him then for cheating by tampering with his gloves. He made it clear he definitely will be suing Tyson Fury. The question is when. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it's after the trilogy, after Deontay Wilder knocks him out. That's the plan at hand. Now, I really want to know. That's why I wish I have the pleasure of talking to Deontay Wilder to ask him the $1 million question. Is the rematch clause, is the rematch clause forces Tyson Fury to fight Deontay Wilder for the third time because of the WBC belt? Or is it because he owes you a rematch? He's forced to fight in you a third time. I want to know which one it is. Is he obligated to fight Deontay Wilder a third time because of the WBC obligations? Or is it that Tyson Fury just simply owed Deontay Wilder a trilogy? I want to know the terms in the rematch clause. What is the obligation for Tyson Fury? Is it the WBC, or is it the just a fight in general, a trilogy fight in general? So I think that would be a good question to ask, somebody, from Deontay Wilder team or Tyson Fury's. How you doing, Aki? Who this is and where you calling from? Hello? Hello?
Yo, it's your boy Jay. What it do, bro?
What's going on? What's going on? So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and continue on with you with this topic because like I said, ESPN came out with a report that says arbitration rule may force Tyson Fury to fight Deontay Wilder in 2021. Frank Warren said, this is Frank Warren, Tyson Fury promoter, that been so optimistic about Tyson Fury fighting Anthony Joshua. All of a sudden now, Frank Warren, he told ESPN that arbitration may prevent Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury then will have to face Deontay Wilder. This is what Frank Warren said. Hold on, give me a second to read what he said or what he told ESPN. He said, hopefully Tyson will fight again in the first quarter of 2021. And we don't know yet if it will be against Wilder because of the arbitration situation. We're still waiting on the outcome of that. Warren told ESPN, Tyson has a contract with ESPN, Top Rank, and we will have to sort it out between ourselves what he does next, where and when he fight next. An arbitration judge will decide it because of the rematch clause, obviously. He said, we say that the rematch clause has ended. Wilder says it can be extended. If the judge rules that Wilder is right, then that means Fury will have to do it. They will give us a decision soon, but we don't know when. So that being said, he also added that at some point next year, we want the Anthony Joshua fight. That's the fight we truly want. We don't want the Deontay Wilder fight. We want the Anthony Joshua fight. But wanting and what's actually going to happen is two different things, because he said that most likely the arbitration will stop Tyson Fury from fighting Anthony Joshua. So that's a quick turnaround right there. For Frank Warren to go from claiming that Deontay Wilder has no case at all to him telling ESPN that the arbitration situation, not the mediation, they are in mediation right now. But he was speaking about arbitration. He said that, once they go to arbitration, which Deontay Wilder have 60 days to activate the arbitration. If they do dive into that, then most likely Tyson Fury will be prevented from fighting Anthony Joshua in 2021, and then he will have to honor his rematch clause and fight Deontay Wilder, which will be the fight next year in 2021. What's your take on what Frank Warren told the ESPN?
Beautiful take, AKHi. And also, I wanted to congratulate you on your knockout the other night. I don't know if all the B-cast thought I forgot about that. I did not. Just because I missed my phone call, I did not miss that knockout. And to answer that question, brother, Frank Warren,
You see, to me, he's just another freaking what's his name? That freaking he's so biased. He's on ESPN as well. He's a commentator. Nope. Blondie. He always did the face-to-face interviews.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure what his name is, but I'm familiar with him. You know.
Well, he reminds me of that fool. And Frank Warren, honestly, I believe deeply does not know what he's talking about because of the simple fact that an arbitration is basically splitting things 50-50 in a way. I don't know how it can really be 50-50 because Deontay Wilder has way more than what he needs in order to activate the rematch clause and also an investigation. So with that being said, Tyson Fury, I was honestly wanting to bring this up actually. You saw the Anthony Joshua versus Kovalev fight, right?
Yeah, the Pulev fight, yep.
Yeah. Bro, they are trying to set this Tyson Fury up and Anthony Joshua fight up so freaking bad. Like, they're doing whatever they can to get out of this third fight by any means necessary. Anthony Joshua over there he's over here dropping Instagram videos, telling the people, who do you want next? Who do you want next? Bro, we all know who we all know what we want next.
Right.
You know what I mean? All this stuff with ESPN and all this nonsense with the media and old media trying to side with these sanctions and all these freaking people trying to protect Tyson Fury and trying to set this fight up by any means necessary because according to experts and according to Maurice Solomon and all the people defending Tyson Fury, that second fight was the greatest victory of all time. Yet, you guys are going through all these obligations and going through all of these trials in order to deny Deontay Wilder what he was guaranteed in a signed contract. For one, these men have to understand that they make their sanctions look really bad in not honoring their own word. They're also making it look very biased and racist, and they're not even realizing that. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure they do. They just don't care. Yeah. You know what I mean? They just don't care. The simple fact that Deontay Wilder really does have to go through all this with a mountain of evidence and thousands to back him up, they still think they're getting over on somebody. They don't realize how deep this can really go. Really, like for real. But with my take on Frank Warren, I deeply believe that Frank Warren has no idea what he's talking about and that he is trying to cover up for the fact that Tyson Fury does not have anything to back him up. I believe that he was talking out the side of his neck when he said that. I believe that he was just running his mouth and that he was just trying to side with old media because he know old media will say and do whatever to protect Tyson Fury. Yeah, point blank period. That's just fact.
Right, and Frank Warren, and he's Tyson Fury promoter, right? So he's obviously going to try to cover up for Tyson Fury as much as he can. But yeah, I mean, for Deontay Wilder, like I said before, they keep claiming that this man is this, with Tyson Fury, he keeps asking the fans what fight you guys want to see. We want to see the fight you cheated in, the trilogy fight. That's what the world want to see. I mean, from all this glove gate controversy, so on and so forth, that made this fight, that's making this fight possibly the biggest fight, one of the biggest fights of all time, and the most important fight of all time, because if Tyson Fury win, he could some way justify him cheating because we know he cheated. But if he wins, then the decaps could say, well, listen, even when he didn't cheat, he still beat Deontay Wilder. On the other hand, if Deontay Wilder wins, then it's case closed. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and the legacy. And that will expose old media. It will expose the double standards. Then the lawsuit will come into play. And there's a lot of people going down. And when I say a lot of people, I mean a whole ship. A whole ship is going down with Tyson Fury. So that's why they're willing to go down with the ship that's sinking, which is Tyson Fury. That's what old media want to do because it's too good of a win. The WBC president said this is the win of the century because they never had a Jeffrey beating a Jack Johnson at this level. That's what this win pretty much meant to him. So that's why I said that, at the end of the day, they cannot disagree with the facts. People lie, women lie, your eyes don't lie. And we in 2020, how ironic is that? A lot of people have 20/20 vision. If you don't, put your glasses on. If you need a microscope to see the truth, get a microscope and look at the freaking gloves that look clearly tampered with, where you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 knuckles, where you're not supposed to see no 4 knuckles on a right glove printed. You know, I mean, it's common sense. Even the left hand is bending in 90 degrees. Like I said, the evidence is overwhelming. If you want to say Wilder lied, okay, well, cool. Okay, Wilder's making excuses. If you want to say getting cheated is making excuses, I guess that's the word we're living in 2020. Fine. Then what does Nicholas Asbury have to gain from claiming Tyson Fury cheated in sparring? What does the coach, Asbury, a legendary coach, what does he have to gain from lying on a video claiming that Tyson Fury cheated in sparring? And he stated that he went off on Tyson Fury team, in which he told him we only cheated in sparring, or we only tampered with the gloves in sparring, so Tyson Fury could gain confidence. You don't gain confidence and then go in the ring with pillow-fisted hands. That's not what you do. But what they doing is they practicing in sparring in order to execute fight night. They practice cheating in sparring in order to execute fight night. And they can't. You cannot disagree with the facts. We got witnesses. We got facts. We got overwhelming evidence. We got footages. I mean, we got DNA evidence. It's case closed as far as I know.
And you know, that's the beautiful part about it, bro. And man, you were just cooking. I mean, cooking like you were cooking hot grits, oatmeal on the side, man. That was beautiful. Good Lord, that was beautiful. Anyway, that was just sad. That was just sad, and it was just beautiful to hear that, bro. Cooking. I know the D-caps are sick to their stomach listening to this. It's beautiful. It is so sad because last I checked, Tyson Fury and his team ran their mouth talking about some sending threats to Nicholas Asbury, saying that, oh, we're going to sue you. We're going to sue you. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You better stop running your mouth. You better stop running your mouth. According to Nicholas Asbury, y'all haven't made one single move. Nothing. Why? Because y'all know what he's saying is facts, and y'all don't have nothing to back y'all up. Right. Y'all are just trying to protect this fake Rocky, this fake real life Rocky film. That's it. This is all a freaking movie scheme. This is all to try to make some real life movie scheme. Like, when I think about this situation, I picture literally in my head, I picture Muhammad Ali back in the day in black and white and what he was going through. And then 2020 with Deontay Wilder and what he's going through. What's the difference? His own people is against it. His own people in the United States are against it. How do you boo your own fighter in a championship fight against a foreign country? I mean, another foreign place.
Right. And see, I mean, it's crazy to me that a lot of people, it's like, I don't understand. It's like they feel like speaking the truth is wrong. We in a world that if you speak the truth, you're a suspect. It's like, oh, you speaking the truth? Oh, no, I ain't gonna mess with you no more. Because see, I remember when, somebody I really enjoy watching, commentate and stuff like that, Brian Custer. I watch him all the time, right? And Brian Custer was during I think a Showtime card. It was Showtime. Oh yeah, I remember. It was Charlo. He was fighting. It was when they had a doubleheader, stuff like that. Charlo beat Devyachenko, and then obviously Brian Custer was asking, Charlo all the tough questions. Even Devin Haney tweeted. He was like, man, shout out to Brian Custer for asking all the tough questions, right? But that's what happens. It's like I always point out, when they have brothers, when they have fighters on the coincidental list, oh yeah, they always get the tough questions. That's what I wanted to tell Devin. Like, yeah, you gonna get the tough questions too, Devin, because you on the coincidental list. You best believe that much. I mean, they did Floyd Mayweather the same way with Brian. I forgot the guy named Brian. It ain't Brian Kinney, but Brian something. We already know that, back and forth. Howard with Muhammad Ali, they will always ask fighters on the coincidental list tough questions, but the fighters on the hope list, they will never ask them the tough questions, right? You see, when Brian Custer interviewed Teofimo Lopez, he wouldn't ask Teofimo any of the tough questions. The title of his video says Teofimo talks about his 3 belts. He said 3. He didn't say 4. So he does know that Teofimo is only unified, not undisputed. But during the interview, during the interview,
Undisputed.
right? But during the interview, T over here, he keeps saying, he even told Brian Custer, you know I'm undisputed. So as long you know, then I'm fine with that. And Brian Custer, he didn't say nothing, but like you could tell he didn't want to disagree. But you don't gotta disagree. All you gotta do is just ask him. Oh, but BoxRec says otherwise. So what you gotta say to that? Oh, what about Devin Haney? Or like you could throw in like a question, a comment in form of a question to get him to contradict himself, like, or point out that BoxRec says otherwise. ESPN says otherwise. Their website says otherwise. So all I'm saying is I was disappointed in Brian Custer because remember when Deontay Wilder told him about his trainer spiking his water, Brian Custer responded with, you don't really believe that, do you, Deontay Wilder? When Deontay Wilder was looking at him, dead ass to his eyes, like, yeah, I believe that. What do you mean? I wouldn't be saying it right now looking like a fool if I didn't believe it. Why would I say it and look like a fool if I didn't believe it, right? But Brian Custer responded with, oh, you don't really believe that, do you? However, when Teofimo said he undisputed, he didn't say, all he had to say was keep the same energy, don't flip. He could have told Teo, you don't really believe that, do you? I mean, BoxRec says otherwise. Like he could have easily made that comment when he know the truth. Matter of fact, the title of his video says 3 belts. But I'm just trying to show you. It's like you get a green light to give a fighter on the coincidental list a hard time, but you don't get the green light to give a fighter on the hope list a hard time. They don't even ask Canelo anything when they interview him. They cater into him. They don't ask him any of the tough questions because again, that's a double standards. That's the double standards we dealing with in the sport of boxing. And a guy like Brian Custer, who I enjoy watching, and I wanted him to keep the same energy that he gave Charlo. I wanted him to keep the same energy with Teo. I want him to keep. You see how he asks Deontay Wilder all the tough questions. I mean, Wilder will tell him one thing, and he will tell him, hey, can you explain this and that? And Wilder will inform him on all of the above. And he will still go on with, oh, well, the excuses when the man told him he got cheated. So I'm just saying that it ain't wrong to speak the truth. You can always speak the truth and stand up by your belief. You don't have to cater in to the decast because see, I know in social media the comment section play a big role on a lot of people. That's why you have a lot of people that try to cater in to the decafs and please the decafs, and by doing so they pleasing the racist fans without even knowing. And that's what Teofimo ended up doing because he started seeing that the people that fill his comment section, they called Deontay Wilder the B word. So he thought it was a good idea to call Deontay Wilder a B word because then all these decafs will love the heck out of him because he's saying the things that they saying. However, the decafs will always remain anonymous. But if you have a face and a picture and you are a figure in a sport or in general, there's always going to be lights on you. And you see how it backfired on Teo. And like I said, I think Brian Custer needs to take notes that you got to do your job. And it's okay to speak the truth. You do not have to shy away from speaking the truth and always keep the same energy when it comes to everybody you interview. You can't give fighters, that's what old media does. You ain't better than old media if you're going to give the fighters on the coincidental list a hard time and fighters on the hope list a good time. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. So I think that's just the pressure he's dealing with being a fighter, being a commentator, from the coincidental list himself. I think there's also certain rules and agendas you got to follow. But at the end of the day, I'm just calling a spade a spade. But let me pick up this call real quick. I'm because I got this man. I'm thinking maybe he a decaf or so. Maybe not.
Hit it. I'm gonna tell all that right here, brother. Hit it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, hold on. Oh man, that thing went away. Oh, sorry. Well, how you doing, AKHi? Who this is and where you calling from? Oh man, my man hang up as soon as I picked him up. Man, sorry. Call back. I definitely pick up your call because I had you waiting for a long time. How you doing, AKHi? Who this is and where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, bro? It's your boy Demetrius, man, back again.
Yes, sir. What's going on? Talk to me.
Nothing much, man. I just called to see if you was checking out all them those undercard fights, and then also that Chris Colbert fight kind of shocked me too.
Yeah, little B hop.
Yeah, I kind of missed it. Like I was flipping back and forth, but I saw like the second half of it.
Man,
I forget the other guy's name.
Yeah, I think it was Jamie Arbolado. If I
Right,
the
yeah,
name,
yeah,
excuse me, but man, I'm telling you, I saw the next pound for pound on the top 10 pound for pound. I think he more than just another champion. I think this man is special. I like what I saw in Lil B Hop because man, he's fast. He got good speed. He switched stands and he could fight mid range, outside, inside. He was fighting a guy that had more reach than him, and it was like he was having a field day. He was having the time.
He was better on the outside. Yeah, so I was like,
man, yeah. What was your take on that?
Pretty much the same thing. Like he's the other guy's supposed to have the reach on him, and he was better on the outside and on the inside. Like he was just too quick.
Yeah, and
he was connecting though. He was like on point.
And what I also enjoy seeing, is that he realized that his opponent started pity patting him, and try to score that way and make it, fighting the inside and stuff like that, things of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
What he started doing, he started timing him, catching him with haymakers, with counters, and that's how he was able to put him out. I think he probably even gave up a round or two to accomplish doing so, and that's the special thing about a fighter like Lil B Hop, is that he can make adjustments on the fly, and he's also willing to, gamble here and there to score a knockout, So I was highly impressed by Lil B Hop, and I'm always looking at the landscape in the sport of boxing, what fighters I could match up, which could generate, the biggest legacy fights, the biggest money fights, the biggest championship fights, so on and so forth. And I think, I'm gonna say this: Shakur Stevenson, his two toughest rivals at 130 pounds will be Lil B Hop and Gervonta Tank Davis. I think those are,
I was just thinking that,
his most difficult opponents. I mean, I'm one of the believers that Shakur, the next GOAT, the next big thing. I think the sky is the ceiling for him. But I truly believe Lil B Hop, what I saw in him, he definitely gonna give him a challenge, and also Gervonta. So what's your take on that?
That was the same thing I was thinking, because I was like, man, this is ironic that this is happening like right before the Shakur fight too, because I remember they had switched to the I think it was the LSU game, and I wasn't paying attention, so I missed the first half of that fight, and I came at just in time though. Like the last 4 or 5 rounds, he just started dominating. Like you said, he was sick of the new one, man. It looked like a video game almost.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is there anything else you want to say?
That was pretty much it. And then the undercard, I know Hitman Haven Brady, he did pretty good. It was a 4-round fight. That's only his second professional fight. Yeah, 18, but yeah, he was doing pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see that.
Yeah, other than that,
man, last night was full.
Yeah, it was like early, real early.
Yeah, last
night. Yeah, man, they had a lot of fights on. Like Anthony Joshua,
right?
Shakur, all that. But yeah, pretty much touched on all the points. So I just wanted to tap in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you for calling in.
Yeah, no doubt, bro.
Yes, sir. We'll go ahead and talk about this topic. Then I'm gonna pick up calls. So finally, Canelo Alvarez responded to Jamal Charlo knocking him out comments by stating that God's willing, we're going to fight. They all say the same thing. But what Canelo has to realize that, obviously, Canelo needs to realize that when Avini say it, They don't believe him. We don't believe him. When Chavez Jr. said it, we don't believe him. But when Charlo says it, you best believe we believe him. Those other people, they need more people to believe them. However, Charlo, when you hop in that Lions den, anything can happen. You better ask J-Rock. You better ask Devyachenko. That man got the air factor, and he possibly got Canelo Alvarez kryptonite, right? So I'm pretty sure Canelo Alvarez know this, though, because at the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez gave up the WBC belt. He was the WBC champion, and he surrendered the WBC belt to Charlo. He handed it to him, right? So if Canelo wanted to make legacy fights, wanted to be a fighter to be remembered, he would have fought Charlo then. A real champion will never give up a belt to a Charlo or to any of his mandatories. Remember, it's one thing if your mandatory is like a nobody that we never heard of, you know what I'm saying? But Charlo was his mandatory for 2 years. He was knocking everybody out. He was calling, Canelo Alvarez for the longest. He even took shots at him on more than one occasion. He told Canelo Alvarez, "I fight you in Mexico City." Translation, "I got more Mexican heart than you do." And Canelo Alvarez waved the white flag? Hold on. Remember, when Hitler tried to conquer the world and invade the world, do you know that with certain countries that gave up the country without a fight, they waved the white flag? No disrespect. We call them countries the Canelo countries. They waved the white flag. They surrendered, right? Because they felt like we have no way. There's no way we could defeat Hitler. He's too strong. He got too big of an army. I'd rather surrender instead because I know this is a war we can't win. That's what them country mindsets was like, right? And that's exactly Canelo Alvarez's mindset. He treated Charlo like the Hitler in the sport of boxing. He invaded his home. Charlo took his pride, his strap, and he waved the white flag. A real champion will never surrender his belt because that's his pride. Supposedly the WBC belt, the pride of Mexico, right? But now the president, I call him the President Canelo because he surrendered his country when Charlo invaded him. The President Canelo, the new president of the WBC, Canelo Alvarez, he ordered the WBC to have Avini as his next opponent as they gave him the WBC belt at 168 while he's about to fight Smith. So, help me figure this out. Help me figure this out. At the end of the day, or at least tonight, Avini is coming off a loss. Benavidez is ranked number 1 under the WBC banner. How the hell Avini is the mandatory who's coming off a loss to the ranked number 1 Benavidez who just defeated the guy that Benavidez beat for the belt? He defeated Avini. So it makes zero to no sense for excuse me for a second. My bad. I had a couple distractions while I was talking. So that being said, excuse the background noise. Obviously, there's so much going on. So, but nevertheless, obviously, Benavidez is ranked number 1. Avini is ranked number 2. I don't know how when he's coming off a loss. Benavidez, he beat. I think his name is Andrew Durrell. Durrell beat Avini, and so some way somehow Avini is the mandatory for the WBC vacant belt when Benavidez never lost. And the president, Canelo Alvarez, requested the WBC. He ordered the WBC to have Avini as the mandatory for his belt that they gave to him leading up to his fight against Smith, right? And that's the same thing with Charlo. He gave up the belt to Charlo. He surrendered. He waved the white flag. So at the end of the day, it's a bad look on his behalf. And, you know, Chavez, this is not me. This is not according to AKHi. You got Chavez, Chavez Sr., Barrera, Morales, Marquez, all these legendary fighters. Every single one. All of them. They all told Canelo Alvarez, in order for you to be great, you have to face the likes of Charlo and Andrade, and he'd been avoiding them to this day. 5 years ago, to this day. And Canelo Alvarez still maneuvering. Andrade told him, you don't have any cojones. That trended all over the place. Now it became this a saying. When you think about Canelo, you think about no cojones. Them two go hands to hand. Thanks to Andrade, and he's still avoiding Andrade. He's still avoiding Charlo. When his own promoter at the time, Oscar told Canelo that in order for Canelo to be great, he has to face a Charlo. Bernard Hopkins told told Canelo the same thing. And Canelo chose to run the other way instead. Matter of fact, he started beefing with Oscar De La Hoya over that. You know, so at the end of the day, you could run, but you can never hide, you know. But he apparently don't want the same thing to repeat that happened to him when he fought Floyd Mayweather, even though he already did against Lara, you know. So he trying to protect a record that's not even undefeated. I don't understand that. How you doing, AKHi? Who this is, or where you calling from?
Show Deontay Waddle up your ass.
You sound like you sound like. So why are you so emotional?
You bitch.
So you call you decaf. So you really don't have no cojones. You call in talking like a female. You talking like a whole female. You a tough guy online. Look at you. We got a decaf that's a tough guy online. You want to act like a tough guy, but I bet you the same one that get pimp slapped in real life. You don't get no cool points for being a tough guy online. The truth hurts so much. You hear this guy calling in, choking on Tyson Fury D while he talking to me.
Baby.
Hey, you a tough guy online, but you get pimp slapped in real life by D's. You already know what time it is. So, like I said, you a type of troll I'm going to hang up on. But at the end of the day, you know you don't have no cojones. You got female parts, and this is a further proof. This decaf hanged up. But it's all right. How you doing? Hello?
Hello?
What's going on?
Hey, what's up, AKHi? This your boy, D. Collins from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Hey, I'm a true fan, man. I go back all the way to you and Professor Nim when you first started. So, you know, it's been a long time since I called in. It's been damn near about a year.
Oh, you've been seeing a lot of knockouts then. You saw a lot of knockouts.
I done seen a lot. You just done buddy Edward Berlinga style. Go ahead, get him out first round. I don't know what are you talking about. We're not even gonna get started on that.
Right.
But yeah, man, just congratulations to you. It's so good, bro. I watch your videos that change my whole perspective on boxing. I've been told people at my barbershop Lomachenko were gonna lose. That finally happened. I look like a genius. But I want to first off, I want to start off. You're exactly right, man. It's terrible, man. How these coincidentals, and it's crazy, man, because it's so sad. The decafs, they don't even know the truth, man. Like, I've had so many people I've had to school, like, until a female from him, they saying he's undisputed. Well, isn't he, undisputed is all the belts, right?
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, yes. They saying no, it's not like that. He got to beat Devin Haney. Second off, when you get into Canelo, man, come on, you know how it is. If they come under that tree, him and Tyson Fury, where they gonna pick they fight. The man gave up his strap. Why you say he gave up his strap twice? Look at Lomachenko. He was supposed to fight your boy D. Haney. You taught me about that. He never done it. You know what I'm saying? So, man, it sucks, man, because especially now, I'm happy we got Lomachenko out the way, though, because the real thing that I want to talk about is really, man, I'm just excited for the up and comers, man. You know, I'm 24 myself, and just to see Shakur and Devin Haney, they're my two personals first off. But what do you think? Who do you think is gonna come out on top out of all of them? Because you got Tank too, you got Ryan, who I don't really like, but I wanna see what he does against Luke Campbell. What do you think of just the young and up and comers? Who do you think is gonna come out on top?
Right. If I could give you, I'm gonna give you a top 6, then I'm gonna give you a top 2. I think Shakur, Devin, Javante. Okay. I'm gonna say it again: Shakur, Devin, Javante, T.O., B-Hop, Lil B-Hop. Also, maybe let's put Ryan in there because he's gonna be a big name for sure. Win or lose, he's always gonna be a big name because of his fan base, you know. But nevertheless, I think the top 2, though, I really truly believe is Shakur and Devin. I think they're gonna remain on top.
Yeah, man.
And I think that's the future fight of the decade. 10 years from now, I think that's gonna be the big fight. You know what I mean? That's gonna be the big legacy fight, like Pacquiao versus Floyd type of fight. I think that's gonna be Devin Haney versus Shakur. 10 years from now.
It's crazy because Shakur, man, even when they had sparred, man, Shakur, he doesn't get touched. You know what I'm saying? It's so crazy how he just the art of boxing, him being just a pure wet. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Devin Haney, he make that shit look so good. He'll fake a hook, hit you with a man. Hey, Devin make it look good, bro.
Right. Yeah, it's good. I'm telling
you, make it look good.
Their potential is through the roof. Like I said, their potential, their ceiling is the sky. That's how far their talent goes. So, I mean, Devin, when they sparred, he was a little younger. He's improved a lot. Shakur, he's looking like the next great. So they both, like I said, I think those are the top 2 pound for pound. They definitely the future. I think they're going to be on that top of we're going to talk about it for the next 20 years for sure. And now they are tapping into their prime. But to touch on the topic you talked about, earlier, see, that's what's going on. Old media, that's what they do, man. They tried. It's a lot of people on the edge. There's a lot of people. It might be when it comes to Tyson Fury cheating. Man. It might be when it comes to Teofimo undisputed status. And then old media, so these people on the edge, they try to confuse them so they could fall to the trap. You know what I'm saying? That's why new media here to tell the whole absolute truth and put it together like puzzle, like I always do every single time. Shout out to Deontay as well, the entrepreneur of new media.
Yeah, Deontay boxing too, bro, but we need you, bro, because I'm telling you, bro, it's brothers out here, they so lost, bro. I done had to explain. It's brothers who, it's brothers who, our own brothers who, they so with Lomachenko and Teofimo, and they don't even know who Shakur Stevenson is. But yet it's still they the same ones who preach and saying that, Lomachenko was the best pound for pound, and the same ones that's Deontay Wilder, he just got beat straight up. Bro, I've done a little bit of boxing. For you to be able to see your knuckles, bro, your knuckles on the punch, there's no way that I can believe it. You know what I'm saying?
Right, bro. Them people are brainwashed. Them people are manipulated. I mean, I talked to a few people.
It's so sad, man.
Right, man. It's crazy when the first glove gate took place. I'm talking about the first day I found out about it, a week or two after the fight. I gave Tyson Fury all the credit at that point. And then I met my man London. You know, he's one of my homeboys. He's real cool, right? I showed him all the proofs. And this man didn't believe me. He was like, yo, you making excuses. You sound like this. You sound like that. Listen, I'm hurt too. And I was like, no. Check this out. And then I showed him the proofs. He was so shocked. He was like, wow. But see, I presented the facts to his face and he automatically acknowledged the facts because he's very intelligent. He's an intelligent person. So a lot what old media does for the people that's on the edge, you know what I mean? What they do, they try to make them fall to the trap. You know what I mean? And like I said, that's why new media is here. It's out with the old, in with the new. And we over here cleaning old media corruption. You know what I mean? So that's why the decaps won't call in, though, because the truth got them shook. They scared to look every time AKHi's on TV because they know it's just another knockout in the book. Easy work. Every single time.
hey, every time, bro. And it was something else I also wanted to ask you. Well, really, and I'll go ahead and let you through because I know you got a bunch of callers. But man, I'm Canelo. When it comes to Canelo and Tyson Fury, bro, when it comes to media, I don't want to get too deep into it because I know you try to keep it on the boxing aspect. But it's just, man, it's crazy how this media has just portrayed and set this up, bro. It's like they are willing to crash just the fundamentals, just the basic principles, the basic, just the damn, kind of the 10 commandments. Like, when it comes to boxing, there's certain things that shouldn't be, that shouldn't happen. It's just so sad that they are willing to get these, like you say, these boxers who, they're on that old media list. It's just so crazy how they're willing to take them to the top when you have so many young and up and coming boxers. Like, I don't get how they're out here throwing Tyson Fury, but you still have Terrence Crawford, who you talking about somebody who he hasn't ran any opponent that they've put in his face he's handled. But then you have, Canelo, who's willing to give up his strap. We already know he's not gonna fight Charlo, but like you say, you got Charlo who's gonna fight the guy who he's fighting. He beat the guy who Canelo is fighting. So I don't get how Canelo, man, it's just crazy how they're willing to cherry pick. And then Canelo has a loss. So like you say, he's cherry picking and you already got a loss.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Listen,
but hey, just keep preaching, bro.
Right, at the end of the day, see, boxing is a reflection of real life, the real politics. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going on in boxing, And this time to prove, you see so many examples. Like you said, Crawford, he will fight everybody. He will put on a hell of a performances without cheating. But then they will overpraise the cheater, Tyson Fury, the cherry picker, Tyson Fury, and erase Lomachenko loss, for example, the guy who gave up belts, just like Canelo. You see the double standards right in front of your face. This is double, quadruple standards, as far as I know. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, it's great talking with you. I'm sorry for the people that's still on the call. My camera just died on me. I thought my battery had more life in it, but I'm go ahead and finish the live. So I appreciate you, my brother.
Oh yeah, appreciate you, man. Appreciate what you do. Hey, all praises to the Most High, and keep on balling. I'll call you next time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a day one, A1 right here. Appreciate it, my brother. And at the end of the day, I appreciate all the people that's tuning in, that called in. Praises to the Most High Allah, the one and only God. So that being said, it's the only thing left to say.
Damn, I'm looking good. I bear witness there's only one God, Allah. And
I'm pretty. Hold it. You're not that pretty. I'm a bad man. Wait. I shook up the world. I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
I bear witness, there's only one God, Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. That's what I said, Larry, on the bungle fight. Thanking you.
They call me the problem, but you could call me the can man, because anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.